And apparently it's live. So
that's what they're saying.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
It is live right now. Sweet. Cool.
Really?
Yeah, we're fucking live. We did it.
We did it.
Yay. All right, let's jump into it. Ready? Let's do this. What is up, guys? Welcome to Diggity, a video game podcast, episode number 123. A little bit different this time. Two reasons. One, shit. I gotta record my local audio.
I was just getting ready to text you because I didn't think you were.
My bad. We're gonna have to redo this again, boys.
All right.
Live, whatever. What is this, Stadia? What is up, guys? Welcome to episode number 123 of Diggity, a video game podcast. I'm Jeff James. As always, with me, the incredible, unobtainable, luscious Brody Fultz. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Yeah, we're doing something different this time. We decided, hey, let's just do live on YouTube to start out with, and I'm sure we'll get to Twitch and Mixer eventually later on. But I just wanted to be able to do this live at the same time and see. I mean, I think generally speaking, we record every night, every Tuesday night and every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. So we'll have to see how this works out. But I think
this might be a regular thing. We'll see how it goes.
Maybe not. I have no idea yet. But yeah, this would be pretty cool to continue on. But before we jump into news, let's get through all the awesome gobbledygook that we always do each week. Guys, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Diggity Podcast. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Diggity, Diggity. Look for the green logo. And if you're listening to the podcast for the first time, subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever awesome podcasts are held. And if you're watching us on the stream for the first time, subscribe to our YouTube channel. With that, let's jump into Diggity Deals, dude.
All right. For the Nintendo Switch, you can get Skulls of the Shogun Bonafide Edition for $4.99 on the US eShop, and that's 75% off. On Xbox, you can get Tales of Vesperia, the Definitive Edition for $19.99 at GameStop, and that is the physical copy of it. And for PlayStation 4, you can get a used copy of Uncharted 4, A Thief's End for $4 at GameStop. It's pretty good stuff. Not bad.
Not bad at all. Sweet. Quick little PSA here before the next piece of news, or before we get into kind of the bulk of the news for today. Borderlands 3 will be free to play this weekend on both Xbox One and PS4. So if you haven't got a chance to play Borderlands, kind of a good strategy here is try it out, see if you like it. And the game's on sale on Black Friday, at least in all the Black Friday ads for like $30. So
yeah,
I mean, if you really like it, go out and buy it.
Yeah, and it is a free to play weekend, given some of the news that we will get into later. So that'll explain it a little better. But Trover Save the Universe has been announced for Nintendo Switch. So the Switch version will be released on November 28th, slightly ahead of the Xbox version, which comes out on December 4th. The game will have a 20% discount at launch on both consoles for a limited period of time. The new versions will include the Important Cosmic Jobs DLC content, which includes new characters, original comedy sketches, the Space Slam arcade game within the game, and more. And if you don't know anything about this, these are the people that made Rick and Morty. So definitely a lot of humor and good stuff in there. I'm hearing fantastic things about the game. And it's nominated for what? Best VR Game of the Year at the Game Awards?
Yep.
Yeah.
So good humor in it. Another quick PSA is for a game that no one's really playing right now anyways, but the new patch for WWE 2K20 on PC will corrupt your save if installed and force you to start all over. So don't patch it. It continues to just shit the bed.
Yeah. This is an absolute mess that just keeps getting worse. Don't play it. Just don't play it at all. Don't buy it. Don't give them your money. Don't do that.
Yeah, please don't.
So Pokemon Sword and Shield are absolutely killing it. Pretty much just as we expected. So Sword and Shield sold 6 million copies over the opening weekend. 3 days, 6 million copies. In just 2 of those days, the newest entries of the franchise sold 2 million units in the U.S. alone. So these stats make Sword and Shield the fastest selling Switch game to date, as well as the highest grossing launch in Pokemon history, which is crazy, especially given the all the controversy prior to this game coming out and all of the diehard fans that are like, no, we're protesting it. We're not buying it. You fucking bought it. We all know it. And we talked about it extensively in our last episode, but I'm loving this game. I'm having a blast. I'm sucked back into Pokemon, and I have not been sucked into a Pokemon game in a long time. So definitely worth it.
Yeah, I mean, we did our first impressions last episode, and we both had good things to say about it. I mean, there wasn't anything super bad that we talked about. I just realized my mic is down this way. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I don't. Let me.
It's a little different. Oh,
let me move that and just make beautiful noises for everybody at home.
Yeah, I would have probably just left that.
There we go. Now you see my beautiful face.
There you go.
There you go. That's wonderful. And if you can, it's the audio version. Well, guess what? I just ruined your ears. Yeah, no, it's crazy, dude. How quick these Nintendo games are selling, and I mean, just Nintendo is just absolutely killing it. We'll have to see how long this lasts, just with the console, especially with the new ones coming out right in about a year. But I mean, boy, man, this is pretty intense. How they can just put a game out in 6 million copies in 3 days, dude.
It's insane. I'm curious to see what the whole week looks like for it. You know, some people won't pick it up over that weekend or whatever, and kind of wait and look at some reviews. So I'd really like to see the numbers for the first total week that it's been out. And I'm sure they'll release those. I'm sure they'll be talking about it. I'm sure it's going to be ridiculous.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be insane. Do you think this is gonna outsell Smash Ultimate completely, or no?
I think it's possible, but I don't know. I think Smash is a little bit more accessible to more people, just given, you know, some people view Pokemon as a kid's game type of thing, and so some of the older crowd probably won't pick it up. But I think everyone kind of views Smash Bros as, yeah, it's Smash Bros. Everybody plays Smash Bros. But so it'd be interesting. I think it'll at least get close. And I think it does have a good chance of becoming the best selling Switch game overall sales as well. So we'll see. Give it a little bit of time.
I don't know, man, about all this stuff with the Switch. I just feel like they're gonna be on a roll, and then I feel like this next gen's going to come out for Xbox and PlayStation, and especially with xCloud and all that stuff, and I think it's just going to kill. I mean, they have those first party titles, but like, I don't know, dude.
I don't know. Nintendo's kind of always been able to survive in their own thing, you know, but yeah, I mean, it's a whole nother ballgame once you start talking about, you know, xCloud and remote play for PS4, because now you're talking about playing, you know, God of War on your phone with a controller in hand, you know, and things like that. It's
crazy.
It becomes a very different thing at that point. It is no longer, oh, hey, we have the PSP or we have the PS Vita. Now it's, no, this is the full experience just on a very tiny screen that's going to make it really hard to read text.
And it's crazy to think about that too, that we're going to be able to play God of War on our cell phone.
Yeah. It's bizarre.
I mean, it's insane to me that we're at that point already. It's crazy. Moving on, guys. The Overwatch community is banding together in remembrance of a fan who has passed away recently. So Jules Sky Blanchot, a 14-year-old Overwatch superfan, has recently lost his long battle with leukemia, unfortunately. And throughout the entire fight with the sickness, Trauma and the committee of the Overwatch French team had kept in close contact with Sky and sent him various different gifts and other Overwatch-related merchandise. Now the community is banding together to try to get a mural on the Paris map in Overwatch as a tribute to Sky, and it seems that Blizzard is truly considering adding the mural to the game, but there's not been a definite response yet. This is just a good gaming.
Yeah, one of those gaming kind of feel-good moments, even in the face of tragedy.
Yeah. No,
which, I mean, unfortunately, we don't get very many gaming feel-good moments because the gaming community can be pretty toxic. So, that's what we
Yeah.
tend to see more of. So when these things do happen, they make it a little bit more special. But definitely our condolences go out to Jules' family and all of that as well. So
It's nice to see too, like I mean, it's not great that this obviously this child had leukemia, and it sucks that, I mean, I hope to God that they find a, a cure for this kind of stuff, because it's just horrendous. But it's nice to see that Blizzard is at least coming up in something positive in the
right.
news now, since all of this. But I mean, I don't know. It's going to be, I really hope that they add a mural like that to it. And I hope that they do some more community stuff or some more charitable stuff. But it's also just
Yeah.
kick ass to see, man, like just people come around a kid that's 14 years old, they've never met him, and the community and the internet comes around him because he just happened to love a game.
Right.
I mean,
And
that's awesome.
it is certainly doable for them to put, this mural somewhere within the Paris map. There's a lot of walls that don't have anything going on. You could totally put it in there. It wouldn't be a big, a huge deal. And people that don't know anything about it would, maybe, figure out what's going on and why it's there and things like that. And I think it's not going to cause any harm, and I don't see why they wouldn't do it. I think it would be, especially with all the bad PR that they've had, I think this would be a very, very good move for them. And I think it, honestly, the way the community is kind of banded around this kid, I really think it would be, the right thing to do as well. So hopefully it happens. It'd be good.
Yeah, for sure.
So Borderlands is getting some free DLC as well as the first of 4 paid DLCs. So the free DLC is just kind of some small stuff here, but Takedown at the Malawan Black Site. So this is essentially Borderlands' take on a raid. So it's a raid style, and this is how they describe it as well. Raid style challenge tuned for coordinating co-op parties of 4 max level characters. So this sounds like it's gonna be pretty tough, especially if you're playing on a harder difficulty. It'd be interesting to see what that is. I am not to that point yet. I keep getting pulled off to play other games, but maybe someday. And then they also are adding Mayhem 4, which adds a difficulty beyond the current hardest, which is Mayhem. So this new difficulty will also have some exclusive legendary gear that will pop up solely in Mayhem 4. So pretty cool for free DLC. I'm glad they're supporting it with, just little stuff like this. I imagine that raid's probably, not really small. I imagine that's actually a little bit more of an extensive thing, but we'll have to see. And the paid DLC is Moxie's Heist of the Handsome Jackpot. So the whole premise is centered around plundering Handsome Jack's casino that is supposed to be packed with unique zones worthy of Handsome Jack's lavish lifestyle and dirty dealings. Since Jack's death, the casino is now on full lockdown and will have plenty of enemies that will make the heist tough. So the DLC will also have new Vault Hunter heads, skins, trinkets, and an Echo device skin, as well as some new emotes. And in order to access this new DLC, you will have had to made it to the Sanctuary 3 in the main game, which is pretty early on. And the scaled enemy levels will begin around level 13. So make sure you're around level 13 before you go into it, especially if you're just starting a new character or just getting into the game on this free weekend or decided to purchase it, I guess. But yeah, cool stuff. This is probably a lot of why this is going free to play this weekend and going free to play right before Black Friday, when they could potentially sell, quite a few units and things like that. It seems like a really good move for Gearbox.
Yeah, you can sell a ton more copies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great idea. All right. Well, on this podcast, we had brought up a while ago, and honestly, I think a lot of people have the same idea, but of Amazon coming up with a gaming streaming service within the next little while. Obviously, we saw Amazon get into developing games and publishing games. Not the greatest of games per se, but what Amazon is freaking fantastic at is cloud services and web-based services. Like AWS is pretty much the cloud service in the industry. You can take like Google, I believe Microsoft, and probably Oracle Cloud, add them up together, and I still don't think they're the size of AWS. It's
Yeah, it's
insane.
impressive. It's very impressive.
But basically, they want to make a streaming service next year, apparently. And I'm expecting that to do actually really well for Amazon, personally speaking. But we'll go through kind of some of the rumors and kind of what we know, which isn't much, but it's a decent little piece. So currently, not much is known about Amazon's plans for this service, but rumor has it that Amazon is beginning to recruit people from large gaming companies such as Microsoft, as well as posting job positions for a new initiative within its Amazon Web Services team. People that are familiar with the project are saying that the company plans to unveil their plan next year. One job posting states, we believe the evolution that began with arcade communities a quarter at a time, growing to the live streams and esports of today, will continue to a future where everyone is a gamer and every gamer can create, compete, collaborate, and connect with others at massive scales. The other mentions drive innovative new use cases like machine vision and game streaming.
Seems like the writing's on the wall there.
Well,
I mean,
no brainer for them to do this, because here's the thing. And we'll talk about Stadia later, but my biggest thing on this is Amazon owns Twitch. Stadia, we'll get to the launch of it, but the actual service itself now seems to actually be pretty decent, and people are actually having a good time with it. There are some issues, but people are enjoying using it. But one thing Stadia lacks is the social connection. They were going to have a social connection element to it, almost like an Xbox dashboard, if you will, where people don't feel like they're kind of left out in a silo like Stadia currently makes people feel. But they canceled that. That was otherwise known as YouTube Gaming. And Amazon having Twitch, that's super powerful because Twitch is starting to lose streaming to Mixer, which is crazy, because if you asked us 6 months ago or 8 months ago if that was ever a thing, we'd think you're fucking crazy, but whatever. But basically that's what they find themselves in. So they can supplement that loss a little bit from Twitch viewership with, basically making it the social connection of it. So I'm sure they'll twine them together. And I would guesstimate that this would either be included at the start at Prime for a very good amount of trial time, like maybe like a 6-month free trial or 3-month free trial, or at least at the bare minimum heavy discounted with Prime.
I agree. I bet it will come to Prime as a whole.
Shit.
I think it will be supplemented into Prime. They might increase the price of Prime, or you might be able to get it without.
Prime's $120 a year now.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah,
I wish you could a la carte Prime. I wish you could be
just
like,
get the things. I just want the shipping.
This.
Like 90% of the time, I just want the shipping.
Yeah, I don't want the whole food stuff. I don't want the schedule, like the reoccurring deliveries. I don't want that. I don't want this. I don't want that. And then just give me my price.
Right.
And do it. I mean, obviously,
that would be nice.
They're business and they want to make as much money as possible off of it, but still, I mean, $120, that's a decent amount of money.
Right. I agree. I think it could possibly be to the point where it's just heavily discounted. That way they don't have to try to supplement it and make up different Prime plans and things like that. So I guess that probably does make a little bit more sense. Maybe, hey, now instead of it being $10 a month, it's like $5 a month if you're a Prime member or something like that, or even more, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure what that's going to look like, but I think they have a fantastic shot of being the group that actually, stands out here. Obviously Stadia has kind of fallen on its face a little bit so far, but we'll see. Mm-hmm. And Amazon could potentially, definitely take over that spot, especially being the company that's not, a gaming company per se. I mean, they kind of are now, but we're not quite there yet. They're no Microsoft or PlayStation at this point. But I think the biggest issue is going to be, who are they going to partner with to get their games onto their service? Because now a lot of these companies have partnered with, either it's Xbox or they partnered with Stadia. So you're some of the competition has kind of been eaten up at this point. So it would be interesting to see who they actually are going to go with. Granted, I guess the Xbox side of it and the PlayStation side of it, that's predominantly just the game. You're basically just streaming from your Xbox, right? Like it's, you can play pretty much anything that you can play on your Xbox. I think the list right now is actually up to 50. I think that's what we covered. But regardless, they're going to be competing with Google Stadia, which Google actually did have some pretty big names that they were working with. I mean, they had like Ubisoft and some major companies, but it'll be interesting to see who Amazon can pick up on their side in this. And that's going to be basically not necessarily what's going to make or break it, but that's going to be a big deciding factor and how they do their pricing, which should not be like Stadia, by the
way. Yeah. And should not be launched like Stadia also, but
right.
Yeah. I think they'll kill it. I think, like I said, the component with Twitch there figured out from the social aspect is going to be a huge thing. I mean, that's essentially going to be your dashboard.
Right. And they do a lot of fantastic things with Twitch as it is. I mean,
I would assume that you'd want to just call it like Twitch something, and the branding is Twitch.
Yeah.
And
that'd be the best way to do it. You already have the brand recognition. It's not like you're creating something new like Stadia. I mean, if somebody said something about Stadia, I would never in a million years think it is a game streaming platform. I mean, outside of knowing what it is, obviously, but
right.
They already have that brand recognition with Twitch. You might as well just keep rolling with that, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do.
Sweet.
So Half-Life Alyx. This is not the Half-Life 3 that you wanted, but it is more Half-Life. So the very first trailer for the new Half-Life game was shown off yesterday. And personally, I'm not a big Half-Life guy. I just never got into it too much. And somebody's probably going to hunt me down over that, but sorry. But this looks really, really good, especially for a VR game, which sometimes they can feel a little awkward. And from the trailer they showed off, it looked fantastic. So the trailer's main purpose was to show off the gameplay rather than set up the story in an elaborate way. But we do know a little bit about the game. It will take place between Half-Life and Half-Life 2. So it's kind of a prequel. It's like the middle prequel thing going on here. And you will play as Alyx Vance, who is the daughter of Eli. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to know who Eli is because I don't. I'm sorry. Again, not a big Half-Life fan. So Valve describes gameplay as lean to aim around a broken wall and under a barnacle to make an impressive shot, rummage through shelves to find a healing syringe and some shotgun shells, manipulate tools to hack alien interfaces, toss a bottle through a window to distract an enemy, rip a head crab off your face, and throw it at a combined soldier. So I guess it's not so much a description as more of telling you some of the things that you can do and that it's not very much on rails like a lot of VR games tend to be.
Mm-hmm.
So one of Valve's programmers, David Speyer, immediately nipped all thoughts of this being a tech demo in the butt, saying it's not a side story nor an episodic one. It's the next part of the Half-Life story and a game around the same length as Half-Life 2. So it is a full game. While it does take place before the events of Half-Life 2, we actually recommend that you play through Half-Life 2 Episode 2 before you play Half-Life Alyx for reasons that will become clear as you progress. Of course, we will have to wait and see how people react to Half-Life Alyx once it's out, but we'd like to continue pushing forward. So the IP is very much not dead, and they plan to do much more with it, hopefully. Whether that's going to stay within VR or not, we'll see. So the game will be available solely in VR and will be available on the Valve Index, Oculus Rift, Oculus Quest, HTC Vive, and even some Windows mixed reality headsets. And Valve Index users will actually be receiving the game for free. Otherwise, the game will cost $59.99 outside of the pre-order sale of $53.99. And we're not 100% sure on when this game is actually going to launch at this time. I am sure we will hear more about this game coming up. So.
Yeah. Probably not what people fully wanted, I guess, when it comes to Half-Life game, but
yeah,
we know we're never going to get it. So
right. I think the Half-Life universe kind of lends itself well to a game like this, though, because you can do a lot of really cool things. But yeah, I imagine the diehard Half-Life fans, which there's a lot of them, I imagine this was certainly not what they wanted. But at the same time, I'm curious if we're ever going to get a Half-Life 3. I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Probably
because
not.
they could never live up to the hype anyway. So, I mean, this is probably the safer route. Do some spin-offs, do some prequels, set up some other stuff here, and then maybe come back to it. But that's a big risk.
Oh God. What was a risk, and boy, did it not pay off on launch day, was Google's launch of Stadia. Man, this is pretty rough. What was even rough is the individual who launched Stadia has also behind launching the PS3, which was a terrible launch, and the Xbox One.
It all makes sense now.
It all makes sense. Anyways, I'm going to run through kind of the issues that happened at launch. So the first one, the biggest one that's out there is you're able to buy a founder's pack a while back, really. And it included the controller and allowed you to have founder under your name. You were a founder. You're one of the first people to receive a code. You're one of the first people to be able to use the service, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? You weren't one of the first people to be able to use the service. Instead, founders ended up receiving their codes 2 days after launch of Stadia. In fact, Google only confirmed today, which is Wednesday, for listening to the audio version of the podcast, that finally at 8:30 p.m., that all the codes had been sent out for founders. So
today's not Wednesday,
really,
but
yeah, oh yeah, sorry,
Friday.
yeah, Friday, Thursday. Oh my God, my bad.
Woo.
Week has gone way by. But anyways, founders getting pissed also at the fact that usernames are being taken before they've had the chance to submit them. Asking the question, why didn't I just get to pick my username when purchasing the founders pack? And also, why not get my code when I purchase the founders pack? And then that code doesn't go live until the day of the service. It was not
make
really
way too much
clear
sense
as to why Google needed to do this. Maybe Google was afraid people would sell these codes or something would go down with these codes. But a lot of this stuff sounds like it could have been done and then just this. I mean,
it just goes live.
It's not like you're getting a box and you can turn the box on. I mean, it's up to Google to turn the damn thing on, right? So kind of weird. Then the 4K issue. So games in 4K seemed a bit off, and it was later confirmed to be true by the Destiny devs in an interview with Polygon, where Bungie stated that when streaming at 4K, we render at a native 1080p and then upsample and apply a variety of techniques to increase the overall quality of the effect, a Bungie rep said, adding that D2 runs at the PC equivalent of medium settings, and that explains why the Xbox One build, which runs at a native 4K resolution and with higher res assets, looks so much better than Stadia. So people were like noticing that the screen was like a little more blurry, lighting was a little bit different, trying to get rid of those sharper edges and dull things out a little bit more to make a more smooth looking effect. So Google, Google said it's going to be in 4K. It's not.
You can say it. They fucking lied. It's not 4K. It's not true 4K. They said it was going to be 4K. It's 1080p upscaled. That's an issue. That's not good.
Yeah.
It's not great.
It's not great. That's for sure. Then we had this isn't a big one, but I found it kind of interesting. But there's numerous teardowns of the Stadia controller online, and I was watching a bunch of them. And they've proven to somewhat interesting, and they're pretty much damn near impossible to open if you have to fix or unjam your controller for some reason, right? Which, I mean, by the time you open it, you've voided your warranty. But still, if you're like an example, if you wanted to get something out from behind the analog stick of your Xbox controller, you've had it for 3 years. You're like, cool, I'm just going to take it apart and try this myself and try to clear it out. Or just, open up a little bit and spray some dust in there. Okay. Yeah. So I watched a couple teardowns. I witnessed one YouTuber have to use a screwdriver. No big deal. A pry tool. No big deal. A heat gun. No big deal. And then liquid nitrogen. Right? In order to contract the case enough for it to be able to open. Even before using liquid nitrogen, it's thought that he basically bent it so much and cracked it that the components internally broke. So there's no way to open this fucking thing at all. It's sealed. It's crazy how it was done up too. I mean,
that's wild.
Even the back plate that goes over the screw, it's not like a sticker. It's like a hunk of fucking plastic, and you like heat it up, and the plastic's like all warped when you take it off, and then you got to unscrew it, and it's wild.
If you're heating it up to the point to where the plastic is bending, you're absolutely frying the components inside.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
Huh.
Add to this that some people's Chromecast Ultras were also overheating due to performance issues of Stadia and either resetting, restarting, or in some cases, apparently, and I don't know if this is true on Reddit, they just don't work anymore.
I read a comment on this where somebody was like, "Yeah, but isn't that like the natural state of a Chromecast?"
Yeah, dude,
That's
I'm not
funny
gonna
shit.
lie.
Those
Chromecast
things are
is
hot as hell all the time.
not only that, dude. Chromecast is okay. I don't think it's. I have a Chromecast and I have a Fire Stick, and I would much rather use my Fire Stick over my Chromecast.
I have Roku and a Fire Stick, and I would much rather use Roku over my Fire Stick.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Fire Stick runs like ass.
Interesting. Mine doesn't run that bad.
Have you used Roku though?
Yeah, I have a Roku also.
Oh, you got all three then, huh?
Yeah, I've acquired all three over the years just to try them out. But yeah, I mean, I had a Roku Premiere, and that was good. But
yeah, that's what we have.
The only problem is there's some apps that are missing on Roku, and it's like
that's true.
That's a pain in the ass. But yeah, Chromecast has never been. I mean, every time I've used a Chromecast, I have an OG Chromecast, like an OG Chromecast, the ugly ass duckling one looks like a USB stick, and then I have the one that is a little puck that dangles there, and
dangling pucks.
They both fucking restart randomly.
Yeah,
they've never worked properly.
Great. Not great.
No. In addition to this, also. Google caused some confusion on Wednesday night by tweeting a statement that became confusing to most users and gave the impression that once you stop your Stadia service, all the purchase games that you have purchased under your account would be unavailable to use at all. This was later cleared up by Google in a later tweet. And basically you'd have those games that you purchased even after you cancel the Stadia service. But free games, however, obtained through the service would not be able to be kept locally on your device or played on your device without being subscribed to the service.
Gotcha.
So,
which the free games kind of are like games with gold, where you get them a free one every so often. I doubt it's going to be monthly just because of the small amount of games available. But otherwise, you have to purchase any games because they're going to eventually have the Stadia, the base version of Stadia, where you can actually do some of this for free. But they have the premium, which is what everyone who bought the Founders Pack, they have the premium Founders Pack. Mm-hmm. So that's how that all works. But they've done an awful job of explaining any of this over the course of all of this marketing that they have done for the past year.
Yeah. Which, by the way, on the marketing side, have you seen their official ad?
No.
With Reggie Watts in it?
No.
It's really weird.
I'm sure it is.
I mean, it's like take those old, it's not old, but 6 years ago or 7 years ago, those Old Spice ads were the biggest thing. Take that. And then someone had $200,000 budget to make a commercial in the Old Spice style. It just doesn't, fantastic. I don't think it fits the brand, but whatever.
Well, I don't think the brand fits the brand most of the time. So sorry.
Yeah, you're not far off. There is good news, though. Obviously, stuff has been figured out with this. And the good news is that once users have started to finally be able to use the service, they are enjoying it. And they're thinking that they feel it's really cool in the application that they've been able to use it. And I was perusing Reddit as to how people were using it and their setups and all that kind of stuff. You get a lot of people just playing on the laptop or playing on the TV at home or whatever. But then there's some interesting ones. There was a gentleman who was like, hey, I wanted to, play video games on my projector, but it kind of would have been a pain in the ass to store the Xbox somewhere and buy this massive cable that goes to the projector and all this kind of stuff and find a place for it. All he has to do is have a friggin' Chromecast plugged into the back of the friggin'
that's pretty cool
projector, and you're good to go. Yeah. So I mean, that's neat, right? That's awesome.
Pretty neat.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What's not cool? 15 character limit for your name in Stadia.
Really? Seems inadequate.
Yeah, 15 character limit for it.
One
what else did I see?
one
on
other
it?
thing,
Just a mess.
I got one. My favorite part about some of the marketing to do with this is the day before this launch. Mind you, we covered this last week before this launched. There was supposed to be 12 games that were available on the service on launch day, which was Tuesday. The day before this launched, Jeff Keighley, not Stadia, not the official Stadia Twitter account or anything else, Jeff Keighley, the guy who runs the Game Awards,
Yep.
tweeted out that Stadia is actually going to launch with 22 games available. So there were 22 games available at launch. Google never said anything about this. And it was the day before a third party, Jeff Keighley, Geoff Keighley, the guy who's going to be Santa. New listeners are not going to have any idea what we're talking about.
That's all right.
But that's how it was broke. It's just amazing to me. How does that happen?
Because nobody cares about it at Google. We've talked about this numerous times as to why Google fails constantly. It's because it's like, hey, that's kind of a neat idea. Let's build it and then just put it out there. and then not talk about it, not market it appropriately, and not, I mean, they don't build a community around anything, around any product.
All of the marketing they've done, and they've done a decent amount of marketing.
Oh, for
whether
sure.
it's good marketing or not, I don't know. A lot of them felt like I was watching a fucking TED Talk. Like they were just mind-numbingly boring.
Yeah, they were a little weird.
It was, I don't,
yeah, it was corporate. It was like a corporate training video.
Yeah, it was like a TED Talk, but way less interesting because I didn't learn a goddamn thing from watching them.
Yeah.
At the end, I'm still confused, pissed off, and hungry for some reason. I don't know why.
God, yeah,
amazing.
What's going to be the test of this, right? Is they have some other games that are going to be coming out later. Like, I mean, that was also a great point too, where like they showed Wildlands constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly in all their material. And they're like, hey, it's not launching with it. Or Breakpoint, yeah, sorry. And they're like, hey, we're not, it's not launching.
Right.
You're like, okay, great.
All right, cool.
I'm so glad I sat and watched that 20-minute friggin' demo of Breakpoint on Stadia.
On Stadia, yeah.
And it's not even launching. Thank you so much with that. That's fantastic. Good job. No, I mean, when those games come out, it'll be interesting to see what their rollout is for the other games. I mean, you can't have a service and just be like, hey, so this is coming. There it is. Especially when your service isn't a subscription service entirely based on the premise of subscribing to games. It is subscribing to the service to stream games. And some of those games are free, but you still have to buy those games.
I assume going forward, the only way anyone is going to know that a new game is available on Stadia is by either going into the store or however they have it set up and looking for themselves, or finding out from a third party on the internet. Because if Google can't even announce their actual launch titles, I don't think they're going to announce games as we go.
Jeff Keighley, man.
Yeah.
Jeff Keighley he's
been a big part of a lot of this Stadia stuff. I don't know exactly what his involvement is with it, but yeah, he's definitely been involved, and a lot of things have actually come through him. He's hosted some of their events and things that they've done, and so I don't know what to make of this, other than a very messy launch, but at the same time, it is a launch. A lot of launches go very poorly, so I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, but there's
no hardware here, dude, besides the controller.
I know. Oh, I know.
That's
the main issue, right? Yeah. But the thing is, xCloud has been slowly rolling out, which is Xbox's version of this essentially. And the thing is, you're going to have access to so many more games and things like that. It doesn't make any sense that this is going to be able to compete with PlayStation or Xbox or even Amazon once they launch theirs out. I just don't understand how they're going to be able to.
No, well, I see the only way that I think that really any of these can hold their own is, again, getting locked into an ecosystem.
Right.
Like, so for if Amazon does this, right, they have to attach it to Twitch. It's got to have the Twitch name to it in my mind and be stuck to gaming. And then it's got to be stuck into Prime so that you're stuck into this ecosystem of I can get all my shit sent to me, quickly, and I can stream all these games. With Google, I don't know what ecosystem you tie it into. I mean, the thing that Google has always been confusing to me. I think it's still an incredible company and a great company that does some really cool things. But
a lot of confusing things as well, though.
Yeah, but I mean, the main thing that Google really does, I mean, it's an advertising company.
Yeah,
I mean, that's where its main revenue source comes from. It's never been a massive hardware player. I guess in the smart home space, it kind of is, but with the Google Home Minis. But I mean, I don't, it's a puck. It's a puck. You can get them for $19 at Black Friday. It's whatever. You know what I mean? And that's not bringing more people into using Pixel to, utilize more features with Google Home and other stuff. They've never been able to encapsulate that environment like an Apple or an Amazon.
Right. It's not so much an ecosystem as it's just another Google device that is pretty much in no way, shape, or form tied other than your email address.
Well, no, that's what's crazy. There is an ecosystem there. I mean,
it's just so distanced. It's just weird.
I don't know what it is. You got G Suite, right? Like, I mean, let's go down the line. You've got Microsoft Office 365. Google has G Suite. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have the fucking Pixel phone. You have Android, which is open source software that they have. Okay. And theirs is a core. They always get the newest Android update comes to the Pixel.
Right.
Still nobody wants to buy the Pixel. Why? I have no idea. It looks like a good phone. It looks nice. I think people just don't gravitate towards their products because I don't think they market them properly.
Right.
I mean, they just
even then,
or too late.
I mean, if you buy, like on the other hand here, if you buy an Apple product, you might as well start buying Apple fucking socks, Apple underwear, Apple G-strings, like the whole fucking thing is all tied together because Apple has created it that way to where once you have one Apple device, it's easier to buy another Apple device to replace whatever else you had or a new one. So like you have iPhone, now it makes sense to have a Mac. Or it makes sense to have an iPad because they are actually connected in a meaningful way. Whereas
because you can get extra features,
right?
Yeah. So that's what it is,
and that's coming from a guy who doesn't use Apple. I don't use Apple. I use Android, everything, whatever, Windows, PC, all that good stuff, right? But the thing is, Apple does do an excellent job of selling it as it is connected and you can do more things by having certain devices and having them all connected. Whereas Google, it's like, you saved my Google searches. Like, okay, cool. Or I can access my email here. Like most of it is not meaningful in the same way that Apple does theirs. And
it just works.
Impressive.
On the Apple side, this shit just kind of works. And a lot of people, that's a cop-out sentence. But here's the thing. I can be at work. My Apple Watch unlocks my computer as soon as I sit down at my desk. It knows I'm close in the vicinity. I can leave my desk. I can grab my iPad, all of my notes, leave my Mac to my iPad, and I can just walk down and I can confidently do everything that I need to do on the iPad without having
the amount of times that you just mentioned an Apple product that you own made me vomit in my mouth.
At work, here's the thing. I still use PC for a lot of things. And I think both, I mean, people are going to, people constantly be like, well, you do love one of that. No, you don't. The PC is great at doing some stuff and Mac's great at doing some stuff. At work, I use a Mac for my computer, like primary. And then, but it's like probably like, honestly, I would say it's like maybe like 70-30 Mac to PC for all my stuff. Like a lot of networking stuff is on PC, but got my Mac, got my iPad, got my watch, got my phone.
Yeah.
And it just works. And the Google stuff doesn't seem to work. And I don't know. I don't know what they tie this to in order to, I mean, I guess the way that you shift it is xCloud and all that kind of stuff would be, I mean, if they take this service and they change it, or they're gonna, I'm assuming they're gonna have to be forced eventually to go from, okay, cool, so you don't buy games anymore. You just pay this price and you can stream all these games.
Yeah, they'll have to treat it like a Game Pass type of thing. They're gonna have to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you stay alive with this kind of stuff when you can go buy the game on your Xbox, play it on your Xbox, get all the services of Stadia as well, and then also any game in Game Pass has all the services that Stadia would have.
Yeah, yeah, you just can't.
I mean, it's just no fucking brainer. I would just go to Xbox.
Right, and even then, I mean, you're looking at people that maybe not or don't even have an Xbox that could still get access to all of that stuff. You can run everything through a PC and still have access to Game Pass and all of that. So, to me, it's a no-brainer. I genuinely don't think Stadia is going to be alive for very long. And it hasn't even full launched
for that long at all, huh?
No, a couple years max. I genuinely don't think it's going to last that long. And hearing what we've heard from like Phil Spencer, P3 baby,
P3
baby, he has even said it's going to be years before streaming is actually the viable option. It will be something that some people can do, but there's still data caps. There's still a lot of hurdles that we're climbing, but we are moving in that direction, right? And even Phil Spencer has noted that this is going to be a learning curve for everyone involved in it, and it's going to be multiple years probably. I bet you this generation will use it, but not to the extent the next generation will. I think the next generation past I guess the generation we're coming into with like Project Scarlet and PlayStation 5, I think it will be a feature and I think it will be used quite a bit, but I think it will be the generation after that when we actually start to see it way more. Or, I mean, at that point, we might be getting to the point where that is what it is. Then it becomes the streaming box. Then it's just a little fucking thing you plug into the back of your TV or whatever, and that is it. I think we're still a good 5 or 6 years off from this being the thing, right? But we're definitely moving in that direction, and I think Stadia was the first to kind of really launch with this, and we're seeing some of the learning curves, but it seems to be working all right. Once people were able to get into it, it seems to be working right, and so that's important. I mean, that is a big win in their books, I guess, but it's just kind of overshadowed by a lot of issues. So
I just hope they add some of their other great services with, like, add YouTube into it so that you can just stream your game live to YouTube then and there. Like, add more shit like that. Add it so I can play Spotify or Google Music even, or if you want to tie in that ecosystem that no one uses, or YouTube Music.
I wonder if the tech just isn't quite there for. No. Hear me out. Let me finish here. The problem is you're going to start experiencing crazy lag if you try to stream also through the service, because you're using the controller as basically it's. The way it connects is through the Wi-Fi, right? It's the way that Stadia did it. I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was something about the way that they have their controller hook up to their service is different than what most people do, right? But I'm thinking if you had Stadia and then you're also trying to simultaneously stream what you're doing straight over to I think the input lag would just be too much. I think it'd just be way too much. I mean, you're incoming streaming and then outgoing streaming as well. That's a lot.
I don't know, man. I think they could do it.
Maybe. I mean,
I just want more shit to it. I mean, I just don't understand how you launch something and here's your name. Here's a store that looks the equivalent of an app store on a phone, and you can buy some games and play them, and here you go. But they've had problems, obviously, and I don't think this is a massive problem because it's the first couple of days of where it's just like empty lobbies and shit, right? But the thing is like you have to add more shit. You have to make it a full blown
and it will
experience.
I mean, to give them a little bit of credit, this is essentially a soft launch for them, right? I mean, it's not launched to everyone. Now, I'm not making excuses for it. It's just everything when it comes out, there's always this shitty period of this soft launch where it's essentially like a paid beta, right? I mean, and as shitty as that is, it's still something that has to happen. You have to get it into the hands of some consumers. and they can be the judge, and then you can make changes from there. It's no different than a beta, except for you're paying for the service to be a part of this
Some
beta.
people couldn't even access
You're
the
a
beta.
founder. Well, I don't know, man.
Founder feels, baby.
Founder feels.
Founder feels. Hell yeah. Well, all right. Well, guys, we'll wrap it up. This podcast takes time and effort to create. If you want to become a patron over on our Patreon, head over to patreon.com/diggity. You can also support the show by heading over to audibletrial.com/diggity and getting access to a ton of audiobook titles to choose from for your iPhone, your Android, your Kindle, or whatever device is on. audibletrial.com/diggity. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Diggity Podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube or hit the subscribe button if you're watching live now or later on the first time. My gamer tag is on Xbox and it is Maple Jeff, and that was not the smoothest way of communicating that, but hey.
Certainly not. Mine on Xbox is Luscious Brody, and on PlayStation you can find me at Wolverine's Cousin.
Ba-ba-boom. Guys, leave us a review. It helps us out a ton, whether it is a comment on whatever YouTube videos or a review left for our iTunes page. It's kind of what helps us get noticed on those platforms, and we thank the people who have left reviews. You've done two things. One, you've helped us get noticed more, and two, you've told us what you like about the show, and in some cases what you don't like about it, so we can make it better. So thank you for that, and until next time, guys, we will see you for the Wednesday show. See ya.